The Dead Space remake from Motive and EA is one of the most anticipated games of 2023. The 2008 original is regarded as one of the best horror games of the PS3 and Xbox 360 era, so there are high hopes for this remake. Motive has kept the same core story and structure from 2008's Dead Space and solidified those foundations with the power of the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Ishimura's USG is bigger and more complex, the necromorphs are more imposing, and the visuals are simply amazing. When released, EA has set a release date for the remake as January 27, 2023. This project was announced at EA Play 2021, where it was scheduled for release in 2022. Back in March, however, developer Movie Studio announced a slight delay, pushing the game's release to 2023 to give it time to live up to fans' expectations. The January 27, 2023 release date was announced on October 28, 2022, along with the first official gameplay trailer. Platforms. The remake will release on PC, PS5 and Xbox Series X. EA has confirmed that the game will not release on PS4 or Xbox One, and Motive will focus on using next-gen technology and the Frostbite engine to completely rethink the gameplay. The studio is investing heavily in Dead Space's visual fidelity and atmospheric audio, and is also working on expanding the combat mechanics and zooming in on the USG Ishimura. The ship is now a fully interconnected space, meaning you can freely explore it without encountering loading screens. Gameplay. This is survival horror at its best. If you haven't played the 2008 original, this is an intense and atmospheric journey through the Ishimura, a massive mining ship that has been overrun by fearsome creatures called necromorphs. You play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer who is forced to board the Ishimura to repair the ship, find his missing partner, and save the crew before it's too late. The fact is that Isaac is not adapted to fighting monsters, and he has to collect any weapons and resources in order to survive. What you should know about necromorphs is that they are not easy to kill. These distorted human bodies must be dismembered. Using a new version of the iconic Dead Space plasma cutter, you'll be able to rip flesh and break bones, blasting off limbs until they stop moving. Dead Space also rounds out its chilling combat with special abilities. Your engineer can be equipped with new abilities like stasis and kinesis, designed to make life easier for an engineer. They're surprisingly good at ripping necromorphs apart. Also worth noting is Dead Space's stunning diegetic design, which features all menus and player information in the game. For example, Isaac's hit counter is built into the spine of his suit, and inventory and map controls are holographically projected and work in real time. This UX design method was incredibly impressive in 2008, and it will continue to be so in 2023. With the upcoming Dead Space remake, EA has set itself the goal of reimagining the classic. Senior producer Philippe Ducharme says Motive's main goal was to honor the legacy of the original game while making key improvements. The core principles will remain the same. However, we are making a number of improvements to the game to make it appealing to both new players and returning players. As a result, the Dead Space remake will be expanded and improved. The plot will follow a familiar path, however it has been revised to better fit into the world that has become part of the sequels and comics. Major technological innovations have resulted in new objects, animations, and physics that were not possible in 2008, and significant changes have been made to the way we navigate through Zero Space and explore Ishimura. In addition, the combat system has been completely rethought. Isaac Clarke can literally rip the skin off the bones with a plasma cutter before proceeding with the dismemberment. Fully voiced by Isaac Clarke. In the original Dead Space, Isaac Clarke was the silent protagonist. Dead Space plot summary: Isaac is a crew member on a repair ship assigned to assist the USG planetary mining ship Ishimura. While investigating a distress call sent by medic Ishimura, the crew are attacked by mutilated corpses and Isaac is left to deal with the necromorphs by any means necessary. To be honest, it was a little strange that the engineer was silent during such an ordeal. EA solved this problem in Dead Space 2 by bringing in actor Gunnar Wright to voice the character. In the Dead Space remake, Wright will return to voice Isaac, which means we'll finally see him interact more adequately with key characters like Kendra Daniels and Zach Hammond throughout the story. Who is doing the remake? The remake is being developed by EA Motive. The studio was founded by Electronic Arts in 2015 and initially focused on the Star Wars universe. Motive collaborated with DICE on Star Wars Battlefront 2, leading production on the single-player campaign, and then moved on to developing Star Wars Squadrons. Since its inception, Motive has also been working on a new game codenamed Gaia, which the studio once called a very ambitious, innovative game that puts power and creativity in your hands. Development on Gaia ended in 2021, with Motive eventually moving on to a Dead Space remake and an untitled Iron Man game. Will there be Dead Space 4? EA has yet to comment on whether the remake could lead to a full-fledged revival of the series. Dead Space 3 was released in 2013, developed by Visceral Games, the studio behind the franchise, and sadly closed in 2017. The return of Dead Space has been highly anticipated, which is why this remake has garnered so much attention. If you're into something completely new, you should check out the Callisto Protocol by Striking Distance Studios. The team is made up of former Visceral employees, including Dead Space co-creator Glenn Schofield. The Callisto Protocol looks like Dead Space 4 in all but name, and is at least a spiritual successor worth keeping an eye on. System requirements. Minimum, 64-bit Windows 10. Processor, AMD Ryzen 5 2600X or Intel Core i5-8600. RAM, 16 GB. Video card, AMD Radeon RX 5700 or NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070. DirectX, 12 storage, 50 GB free space. Featured, 64-bit Windows 10. Processor, AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, Intel Core i5-11600K RAM, 16 GB. Video card, AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT or NVIDIA GeForce GTX 2070 DirectX, 12 storage, 50 GB free space.